Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let me show you how to use the very useful title icons on your Mac. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So title icons are the little icons that appear at the top of document windows on your Mac. For instance, here in Pages you can see the title icon right here. Here it is in Numbers. Now these used to be called proxy icons and you'll still find lots of references to that name. But Apple seems to prefer calling them title icons now, which makes sense since they're right next to the title of the document in the title part of the document window. Now they only exist in windows that refer to a document, that is a file that represents all the information in that word processing document, spreadsheet document, or whatever the app creates. So you won't find them in apps like Safari, a web browser, which is just accessing the internet, or Mail, which is just accessing an email server. Likewise, apps like Notes, Calendar, Photos are accessing libraries of data, not creating specific documents. But you will find them in the Finder. Now of course the Finder doesn't have documents. It deals with folders. But in this case the metaphor holds. The document for the Finder is a folder. You're always looking at a folder. And in that case you'll find these title icons. However, if you look here you won't see them. Why? Well, they're hidden until you move your pointer over the title there and then you see they appear. Until macOS Big Sur they were always there. With Big Sur now they change to just appearing when you move your pointer over them. This is also true for third-party apps, which actually have two conditions that need to be met for the proxy icon to appear. First, the file has to have been saved. So here I've created a new document but I haven't yet saved it. Let me save it to the desktop. Now that it's saved, if I move my pointer over the title you'll see the proxy icon appear. The same here in Pixelmator Pro. There's no title icon and it won't appear until I at least save that document. Now I can move my pointer over there and it will appear. Now if you'd rather have the proxy icon always be there, you don't need to move the pointer to it, you can go to System Preferences and go to Accessibility and then under Vision click on Display. And there's a checkbox for Show Window Title Icons. This is something new in macOS Monterey. So if you have Big Sur then you're stuck with it only appearing when you move the pointer over the title. And now you can see it's there in Pixelmator and it's there in Cot Editor. Now let's look at what you can do with these. These title icons, or as I said they were once called proxy icons, do act as a proxy for the actual icon in the Finder. So here I've got the actual file. When I drag this to certain places, like to another folder, it will move it. The title icon acts as a proxy for that. So you can do the same thing with this icon as you can with this. For instance, let me create a new Finder window here and then go into a new folder. And then I've got these two folders open. Now let's say I want to move this file from here to here. I could drag and drop it there. But I could also use the title icon. I can click and drag that, move it here, and then watch as it disappears from here and it's moved to there. Behaved just like the icon in the Finder, which is handy if you don't happen to be looking at it. So for instance if I have this closed and I'm working with this document here and I decide I want it to be in this folder here, I don't have to find the location of the file and open a new Finder window to show it. I can just drag the icon from the title right into a new folder in the Finder. So you could also use this in other ways you would normally drag the file icon in the Finder. For instance, let's say I'm working on this document. I want to send a copy to somebody. I can drag this down into the dock to the Mail app. And what would happen is the same thing that would happen if I dragged the file to the Mail app in the dock. You can see it appears here in a new Mail composition window. The same thing would happen if I dragged it straight to the window. So I could already be writing a message here, decide I want to attach this file. I can then drag the icon into the message. Here's a file in the Finder and as you would expect I should be able to drag this file, which is an image, into Pages here or into Mail or into any other app that I want to import the file into. But I could also have this file open, say in the default app preview, not have the Finder window for it opened at all, and use the title icon to do it. I could drag the title icon here into Pages and it imports it in. I could drag it into Mail like that. And if I have the Messages app open and I want to add this to a message, I could use the title icon for that as well. So basically the thing to remember is it works just like the icon in the Finder. You can use this to drag this document just as if it was a file icon into anything. That just gives you some idea of the versatility of this. There's all sorts of other ways it can work as well. Now in the Finder, with the folder being the document really, you can use this to drag folders to different places. So for instance, if I were to go into this folder, miscellaneous here, and say I want to move the miscellaneous folder somewhere else. Say I have another window open and I want to move miscellaneous folder into notes. Well, I would normally have to go up one level with Command up arrow and then find it. Or I could Command click on the title and go up a level and then be at the level above the miscellaneous folder in order to then drag it. But I could use the title icon to actually drag the folder that I'm showing. So if I wanted to place it here in notes, I could drag it like that. And now you can see that folder is now contained inside of notes. This is handy for dragging an entire folder to the trash. So for instance, if I go in here and I say, yeah, I don't need any of this and I don't want the folder, I don't have to select all, Command A, move to trash, and then go up a level and then move the folder to the trash. I could take this and drag the whole folder to the trash. You could also use this to create aliases. You could drag this here and holding down Command and Option, I create an alias to this folder. But let's say I'm inside the folder. I can use the title icon. The same Command and Option will work on it, and now I've created an alias to this folder without having to go up a level. You can also use this in open dialogues. So for instance here I am trying to open something in Pages. It's asking me for the document. Let's say I want it to be something in here. I want to see all the options in here. So I can drag this right to the open window there and you can see how it changes the location to miscellaneous. So the same thing I would do if I were at this level and I would drag the folder to it. It's just that I don't have to go up a level first. Now there's one other place where title icons appear that are really useful, and that is in info windows. So say I select a file like this and I use Command I or File Get Info and it brings up the info window. There's a title icon right here. I could drag that to represent the file instead of the file itself, which is handy if you no longer have this Finder window open. So for instance if I'm looking at this, maybe I have several info windows open, I could drag this to the Mail app to attach it or drag it into Pages to insert it. You could also use it to move the file. So for instance it's located now in the miscellaneous folder, but if I happen to be looking here and I decide the file belongs there, I can drag it there using the title icon. And I can also duplicate the file by dragging, and just like you would with the file, hold the Option key down and now it will create a duplicate of it. So that's a new copy. This is still showing the info for the other copy which is in a different folder. Now title icons are one of those features where you really don't need to use it. Plenty of Mac users go their whole lives without using it even once or even knowing it's there. But other Mac users live by it. They use it all the time, constantly, to manipulate their files instead of always going to the Finder window. Either way, I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.